Okay, just to let the people know on live stream that we are getting set up. We're just about ready to start the Tuesday, October 27th, 2015 afternoon session at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. This is for the Blueprint Teaching Week. And this afternoon we'll get more, Mr. Keshe will get more into the theoretical part of the teaching. So bear with us for a couple more minutes while we get set up here.
The Smurfs. I've been ready for a long time. I've been waiting nearly for half a minute. We don't see any music. We just see whiteboard. How, Vince, are you happy with this board now? Is it better than the other board? Ooh, we're gonna learn. The good thing is I don't have to clean my hand with chalk, paint and colors. Okay, we're learning more and more.
Okay, so it looks like we're ready to go here, Mr. Keshe. Let me just make the official announcement that it's Tuesday afternoon, October 27th, 2015, and we are ready to begin the more theoretical part of the teaching on the blueprint for the MagRab's systems. Go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. As usual, good day to you whenever, wherever, or what time you listen to these recordings. As normal, Tuesday afternoons is the health section of the Keshe Foundation. And we usually have an open forum. People can join us from anywhere around the world on Tuesday afternoons in respect to the health and application of the technology in respect to health. And every other week, we get our Chinese colleagues from China teaching us. And usually every week, we get our Spanish-speaking Mexico. They teach us what they need for us to learn from them. And sometimes we have teachings in respect to children. But mainly Tuesday afternoons is a public opening for the health applications. If you look at the structure of the human body, is a one dynamic plasmatic system. Something which man never realized, and has been in the teachings of the Keshe Foundation, is that the body of the man is very much, if you look at it, just like this. A long, open-ended tube. This is the mouth, and this is the exit part. If you look at it, it's just one big, long sausage. If you look at it, it's in a total vacuum state. is in a better vacuum condition even than deep space. It has managed to create such a vacuum condition that can create life, sustain it at a matter state condition. So the body of the man on its own is the universe, well-organized universe, and it works in its own vacuum condition. And as we know, in a vacuum condition, everything is in a state of plasma. So every piece, every cell in the body of the man is literally in a GANS state, in a plasmatic state. Because we touch it in respect to the atmospheric environment it's in, we have fooled ourselves to think it has to be a matter state. But it's nothing but interaction of the plasmas at a very high vacuum condition. We puncture it, we cut it, immediately creates its own sealing system. But if you look, it has two functions. It has connected itself to another piece, which we call the head. And what is done, it has connected one piece to here and one piece to the top. This piece to feed the physical part, and this piece through the nose to feed the emotional part. So when, and you understand now that everything in the body of man works as a plasma in the plasma condition, or what we call the GANS, then working with the body of the man in the health section becomes, oh, which camera did you lose? Hello.
Sorry, just pushed the wrong button here. We should be okay now.
Are we back? Can I move? Go ahead. So now we understand how everything can be affected in the body of a man without use of any medicine. Because now that we know the body of the man is made of GANS, and a GANS itself is a plasma, all you need to know is how much is taking and how much is giving. Just change name. Make this the cell of a heart, or change it to a cell of breast. It's all the same. Each one has a given specific mass, that is gravitational magnetic field balance, and so all you need from now on to interact with abnormalities is just to change the environment or change the rate of the flow of the fields through the GANS material. We've seen it. This technology is at infancy, but today Renan showed us new systems that you lot, if it's the first time you come to Keshe Foundation, think very strange thing. These people work with the twisted wires, which is nano-coated. These people put a wire on themselves and it works. And they say it works. They're a bunch of crazy ones. As somebody said, he has created a cult that they all believe in his lies. So anybody who loses pain or changes because of anything is all illusion, because it doesn't fit into the structure of the present abuse of medicine. Because you have to take your medicine, but now in a space with apologies, we can't take all the medicine and the tablets with us. We take a, where is my pen? This lady has been using it since yesterday. Do you want to tell us what you've seen? Come, you know who she is, you heard her voice. This is the voice of the translator in the peace conference with the world ambassadors, Savina. She's had a problem. She's been on my neck for over a year. Can you do something with me? I'm in pain. So now, I gave her this pen. Yes, you can give her the microphone. You got to hold on to it. Yeah. I gave her the pen yesterday and she used it. She can tell you she suffers from the severe fibromyalgia. Very rare cases of it. But she's had a problem. You explain what you've done to yourself.
Okay, I had my little finger here for the last 2 months was very rigid and sort of dark colored, and like I have a little bit of growth here on the cartilage, and it was all very rigid and painful. And I experimented with it only for about 5 minutes last night, and all the darkness on the little finger and the rigidity went away in 5 minutes. I just
you can show it because
it's feeling much better and much more mobility.
You're not that old anymore. You're young.
No, I'm young again. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome. So you've seen it. It's understanding now that the technology is not just a pen, something hiding in it. We are so crazy that we show it alive. You've seen today, Brennan showed different type for different diseases. Now, the beauty with it is, the Chinese have gone even a stage further. Now they're making hats and helmets and body pieces for it. They fill them with the GANs of different materials. And we've seen the results literally more or less instantaneous. Within minutes, within hours, within days. If there is an imbalance, the system, all it does, that's all the pen has done to her. It's taken from it what it doesn't need, because it's giving away, and in a way is given to it what is short of. When the system finds its balance, when the cells find the balance in the environment, there is no more pain. In next 2 weeks, as we announced, we release the systems, very simple, for regeneration of organs, regeneration of arms and legs and fingers, because now we understand the same process. Has been the biggest mystery. We explain this because a lot of you are new people on the what are called teachings. All the Keshe Foundation people know, people who are around the Space Institute, that one of the biggest mysteries for us, human beings, has been where the reptiles can make their tail if we chop them off. If they lose it, they build it. The tail falls off, and over time, they slowly build it. The tail doesn't get built from here and come. It builds from here and goes its way. Now we know the secret. This has been one of the biggest mysteries of the science for centuries. How, why can we? What happened when our toe gets amputated? Vince, I remember, maybe you can find it. If you
I've looked for the videos that are supposed to be on the website about the brain tumor and that kind of stuff, and they were never transferred to me when we did the initial transfer from the old server. So I'm not sure where we
There should be a picture on the health side with the toe of a woman. Can you get Caroline on your line and ask her if she's got it available? She can transfer the documents or pictures of Maki. What we did, if she's listening downstairs, hopefully she knows if a few pictures of the amputated toe, which is regrown, can be shown. What we found out, and what is done now, is going to be released to be done, is we have realized now how the lizards did the growth. There is no mystery into it. There is absolutely no mystery, because this is exactly what we spoke about this morning. You remember you had the copper wire, and then you remember we spoke about the nanomaterials. If I can clean it up. We created the nanomaterials. Nanomaterials are like very much the tip of the pen, this pen. So what has happened is, if I get this moved up, there it is, she's here. Can we have the picture of Maki, or are they in the safe? Yeah, that's the last pictures. At the beginning, where is the bat, and when the toe is grown? Just check. If it's just either way, we can show. No problem. So what we have found out, as you've seen with the pen, what the lizard does at the point of the cut, its body creates its own vacuum. With us, we don't do. And how it does the vacuum is it creates an immediate nanolayer here. That's all it does. It creates a cell combination in a strength that the last cells in its body becomes nanomaterial, a nanolayer. So what happens is like here. Any information comes, gets absorbed in the nanolayer. As far as the brain is concerned, nothing has happened. Because in human race, in our body, when the information comes, hits here, creates, it cannot go anywhere. The information becomes pain, and that pain shows danger. You don't do this again. That's how we don't do. We touch fire, we know fire burns us, we don't touch it. So when the brain sends information in the human body to the point of cut, it says pain, so the body does not send any more information for the cell to carry on moving on or reproducing. But what happens in lizards is that when the information comes, because it's created a nanomaterial layer there, the energy gets absorbed into the nanolayer, and the brain gets no registration of pain. So it carries on developing. And what happens? The lizard keeps on stacking up the tail. And what happened? Because that nanolayer stays at the end, so does the tail keeps on growing. Because all it does, it moves the goalpost. The goalpost moves to the next stop, next stop, next stop, till, as far as brain is concerned, there is no more layers here, so the tail finishes. Now we know the secret. There is no genetic information. There is nothing in the memory of the lizard. Lizard has learned at the point of cut to create a specific temperature heat that creates a nanolayer at the end. The way you put the copper in a caustic, you created a heat enough to nanocoat but don't lose. Lizard creates that temperature at that point. So now what we did, we now understand this. All we need to do, it costs 10 cents to produce a specific plate to place in front of the amputated finger and allow it move it back. That the same thing, as the information comes, the same process follows. You can grow the whole finger. We've done this. This is not theory anymore. Now we teach the technology. And it's done through plasma technology. By the end of November, Keshe Foundation manufacturing in Italy will release 100,000 plates to all the hospitals around the world, leaving it on the conscience of the surgeons. When a child comes, he's going to have no finger for life. What is a piece of material you can attach to it? Because it's continuous, that's why I asked Caroline to release the pictures. The body immune system builds itself. The body immune system protects itself. You see inside the finger, you see the bones growing, you see the tissues, but you see no bleeding, you see no infection. We have looked after this body for 4 months. We know it inside out. It's a dear friend of ours in England. But the science now understood through plasma technology. Because every cell at this point is a plasma. It releases information, and if it gets returned, it carries on. So now, with a new understanding of the plasma, new understanding of the structure of the human body, we see the whole structure of world of medicine in space changes. I don't need to amputate a man's arm because he's not going to travel for centuries in the space with one arm short. Immediately, within months, you regrow the arm back. Body does it itself. You just, because you take that pain away, the body never knows it's missing. It just keeps on replacing. Don't forget the golden rule. The oldest part of your body, doesn't matter how many years you are, it's only 9 years old. None of us in this room has a one piece which is probably 10 or 11 years old. All our parts gets changed, every cell. It's like a skin of your day. Your skin changes every 28 days. Every cell in your body changes. So, as you give it time, leg amputations, arm amputations, all can be replaced. One piece of part of our body still remembers this memory, that at the point of cut, it regenerates itself. And that's our liver, because it carries so much blood, creates that heat. So you can cut a liver and it just processes itself. So if you understood this, now you understand the change in the structure of the human travel in the space. We understand everything is based on plasma, so we don't need to carry medicine. In a space, I don't think NASA has ever reported a single pharmaceutical company on Mars or on Jupiter or in planet Zeus. Because men of space understand the work of the space, which is based on plasma, and human race through the development of the Keshe Foundation Space Institute has become man of the deep space. We train, we teach the totality that when man goes to space, him on his own is responsible for his health, for his food, because he understands the totality. We will not carry reserve banks of rice because there are a lot of Indians with us. And there will be no curry powder. There will be no pizzas for the Italians, and God help the Armenians with their kebab. But we carry the essence, the taste, the smell, the odor, the texture, exactly how our body remembers it in state of plasmatic condition. Then you have what you like, you feel. You know, as we said before, you can drink the same cup. One of you will feel orange taste and texture, the other one banana, as what your body needs. They say, can you show it to us? Nobody has asked us, can you show it to us? Because how are they going to say the taste of banana from the cup? But they want to see the energy from the energy system. Have you noticed that? Can you show us the work of it? It tastes banana. Would you like orange? Now, the world of science in the space has become the freedom, total freedom, because now we understand the totality. If you understood the work, what Renan showed you this morning, and if you understood this, do you think anybody is going to be given a 15-year death sentence or 10-year death sentence when they change your heart valve? Because nowadays, when they give you a heart valve, as I said before, you are sentenced. A lot of people see a heart valve operation a freedom from the pain. But doctors don't tell you one thing, especially if it's a mechanical valve. Every mechanical thing has a lifespan. An average lifespan of a mechanical heart valve is 15 years, maximum. 10 years average. The heart valve, when your valves go. Pacemaker is a different thing. Well, you have a pacemaker, you start panicking? No. But, for example, what you can do, you can create a condition now around the valve with a very simple plasma system that the body repairs itself. Life expectancy, another 60 years, another 100 years. Because it's a natural process part of the body. Total cost, most probably less than $1. We're not talking about millions and millions of dollars of investment in plasma technology. Because it's part of the process of the life, you create gravitational magnetic field, which is equal to the cell of the valve. And the body itself, the way it found its balance here, it finds its balance here too. So you see the whole structure of medical application in a space has changed. We have not developed these technologies, as I said, for the mankind on this planet. But it's a fallout of the development which, instead of keeping it in the vaults and secret banks and then patent it, and then somebody might break through it, and then us spending 100 years like our beloved Tesla's work trying to unravel it, now we all unravel it freely without any patents. And it's very pleasure. You see a man from Philippines comes online, very openly shows you what is for what. 12 months ago, this was unimaginable. That scientists, people share knowledge at the edge of science that most of people don't understand. They come, they talk, the teachers are there, they show it, and they go. Nobody could believe that this power unit and the teaching of today will ever be done. It's worth billions. If you understand power game, this little black unit worth, as the Chinese ambassador said, there is not enough money in the world banks to pay you for just a power unit. But the problem is, I cannot sell money to the people on the planet Mars because they don't know what money is. It's a man-made fallacy. So when we share it, when somebody in Africa creates a light in his house with using one of these powers, and it doesn't break his arm, and he can keep his children fed, warm, this is where we serve to humanity. And this is the way the Keshe Foundation works. We don't care how many people manufacture things. We don't care how much of our knowledge they use to become the king of drug addicts and drug supply chain. We serve humanity, that the technology is used to serve humanity. This technology already, as its outset, has created enough enemies for itself because, again, like before, the financial income of it has eluded the whole lot of it. They come to the foundation as they want to serve, and then they find out it's such a huge money. Keshe is stupid, he's giving everything away. They don't realize I'm the rich guy, I can give as much as I like. My richness is my knowledge. You're poor and your lack of understanding, you're tied up with the physicality of this world. Because now you've seen it. People around us in Keshe Foundation are devoted to serve without restriction of knowledge. You've seen, I ask if we can show the paste of the GANs. Armand in no time brings it up. This is what it is. This is the way the society has to change. This teaching of this week, Blueprint, is not just showing a new system. It's showing a new path of living. It shows a new way, the way we share energy, we share knowledge, we share. Everything else has to become the part of human race, because now we all can produce whatever we like. This was a fantasy. If we find the pictures, we show it to you. It's been on the website. On the transfer, it's been lost or is somewhere we cannot find it. But there are thousands of pictures of the toe growth. The same with the brain, which Vincent spoke about. So, a lot of you who come for the first time on the Keshe Foundation, you think there's a bunch of new lunatics. Yes, we are a bunch of the most clever scientists in the world, which you lot would like to join, but you don't know how. And it's very easy. Learn from us, we teach you freely, and share with us freely instead of making patterns and hiding in different countries for it. Because there's one thing very important you all never tell. The minute you patent anything to do with nanotechnology and the GANs the way we done, your patent is an open patent. You can fool a patent officer, but if you bring anything you patent to do with this kind of technology, as we have opened our patent, it's in the public domain, is unpatentable. This is the foundation release. Doesn't matter what you add to it, because we have covered everything into it. So, in a very simple way, the health, like the energy we taught today, has changed. Because in the space, as I always say, there are no hospitals, there are no doctors, there are no pharmaceuticals. And if man has such a big problem solving the smallest diseases on this planet, can you imagine what diseases us and our children will bring from a space that the people in pharmaceuticals don't even have got a clue about it? The only way you can do it is to understand everything in the universe works in the plasma, interaction of the plasma. You find the strength of the, what you call a virus or a disease, and then you give it a chance to share, or you give it to that it can share with you. It changes the environment. There is no virus, there is no disease. This is the most easy way to work, and now you've seen it. If you look at the structure, what Renan showed us today, he created a coil. I go there first, then go there, then clean this up. I'm learning very quick. And then go like this. He showed you a coil like this, which is like this, from wires. And then he explains to you why he put the wire through it that way. And then, if you understand it, he said a very simple word to you. But he knows what he's talking about. Most of you missed it. Play it again and again today. He said, we put 3 of them in series together. No, the other one. Another phone. He said, we put 3 of them in series together. Do you know what it means when you put series together? What does series mean in adding plasma power? What about if you put 4 of them in series together? And then he showed you the same thing again. This is a stacker of 12, it's for industrial commercial unit. No difference. Because he understands the totality. If it's the body of the man, he wants to go deeper. He puts more in the strength, but he can do it much easier way, but this is the way he understands it. I can show him with one piece, he can do the same job. But it's the way he's developing. And then he says, 3 of them is serious. And then he says, 12 of them on the stacker. There is no difference. Because he has understood the principle of the work. Doesn't matter if it's energy for industrial use, or is it to penetrate deeper in the different organs of the man. And you understand, once you understand the totality, without prejudice, people will walk through this technology. In the coming time, very soon, the way we are teaching the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers here, we don't even need the lab. If you put your camera around, you see no tools, no benches, no screwdrivers, no cutting machines. We have no sheets and no blankets. We have one guy who's arrived from Cyprus. He's expecting it still after 2 months, a 7-meter diameter aluminum foil. He hasn't managed to get it yet. It's still sitting there to fly. Because you need a plasma, most probably smaller than this size, but powerful enough to create a gravitational magnetic field around your body to make you to fly anywhere in the universe. But it works in gravitational magnetic field, not in a matter state. So when it comes to the health, the structure of the health from now on will change. In the coming weeks, we'll manufacture so many of these pens. It'll be like the pens you carry in your pocket. Everybody will carry a pen. The minute you have a pen, you go. You see a lot of people walking on the street just penning each other. We've seen the Philippine group have made a beautiful pen sets. Then it'll be different things. You walk into the hospitals, most probably the surgeries, will not be any more cutting machines. There'll be a lot of different kind of a strength pen. Can you hold it there for 2 days, come back, the finger will be there sorted. Cancer should not take more than 3 minutes to reverse. That's all you need, 3 minutes. Any cancer, to reverse the onset and reverse it should not take more than 3 minutes. Understand. Just don't accept because I say, understand why. You understood this? You've seen the pen? Oh, I don't want that. I want this. You have a cancer cell. You create a pen. Depending on its energy, you exchange, you receive, and you give till the point of balance. But you find out the cancer will appear somewhere else. We have this case now in our hand, where the system is used, the cancer has disappeared. I should receive the MRI by Friday. Wherever we have used the pad, the cancer has gone. But now the cancer is appearing somewhere else because we were told it's only in one place. If I have my phone with me, I'll show it to you. I read you the report. So what happens? Even the most strange thing is the doctor, after MRI, because we use the same technology on one side, now the cancer has moved to the other side. They've written it, there could have been an anomaly in the last MRI, but you can't cheat the MRI. The last one it says is the left, you can see the cancer cells. Now they move to the right side and the left side has got no cancer. But why the cancer appears somewhere else? Because, very simple, the emotional part of the brain wants to die. The emotional part has decided, I'm going to finish with this life. What we've done with our pets, we are chasing a dead cat along the physical part. So the information is coming down from the emotion to finish with the physicality, because the soul has made agreements or a condition that wants to live the physical life. So the physical life is setting it out the way it wants to go. If you want to stop the cancer, you don't do a pen on the cancer cell where you find it. You make the system for the emotion to allow it to come to balance. And if then it decides still to finish with the physicality, it allows it to happen. Need, want, be loved, to hate is part of the emotion of the man, and it has a plasmatic condition. It comes from interaction of the cells of the human body. So it has the strength higher than the physicality, and if you can satisfy the needs of the emotion, you'll find out cancer disappears in 3 minutes. You don't need to chase it around the body, you go to the boss. This is where the change is coming. This is where we have to spend the future of the plasma technology and world of science in working with the real condition, not keep on operating chemotherapy, X-ray. Why do you get a secondary cancer? Why do you get the next cancer moving somewhere else? Ask yourself one single question. Why this body wants to finish? What's the reason that I take it from one place is like if you chase a madman. If he comes into a shop, he wants to destroy everything in the shop. Doesn't matter how much you hold him, you put him out, he comes back in again. It's the same with cancer. Why a body, why a life wants to finish? What's the reason for it? Not because the doctors wants to show their capability to change it. It's got to be, the question should be asked from now on from the emotional part. What's the reason that you want to finish the term with the physical part? Because the emotional part and the physical part of the human race are totally separate from each other. The emotion controls and the physicality follows. The emotion sits in the center, and if you look, your physical brain sits around it. So you come to understand from now on, especially in a space, why does a man want to end the physical life? And then if you can satisfy the terms that if the condition with it is, the biggest if where it is, if the emotion has made an agreement with the soul, then you cannot change the physicality. Doesn't matter whatever you do, it comes back, and on a given time where the soul has decided, the termination of physicality comes. You cannot change it. Because the life is not in the hand of physical, but it's in the hand of non-dimensional, non-tangible, which is the soul of the man. So now you understand how easy, instead of chasing cancer, is to understand what does the soul wants from the emotion, that the emotion through its operation dictates what the physicality does. You'll be amazed if you have worked as much as I have, that the brain decides even the second of death, which day is not going to reproduce the next cell that can be end of life. Everything in the body of the man, when it's through a natural death, is already decided by the emotional part. To the second. Because the brain knows when that second is. It's predestined, pre-planned. Unless you get killed in an accident. The demonstration of this comes with diseases like ALS. It's the brain in ALS and MS which decides the time of termination. It's so precisely controlled to the day, to the minute. The brain has already decided, today I'm going to stop the last functioning of the thumb. Next week, I'm going to stop the last function of the index finger. You think they go paralyzed, they could move their finger yesterday and they can't do today? Because the brain has already pre-planned it up to 7 years ahead. Up to 9 years ahead. Don't forget, every cell in your body is reproduced continuously. And those people who don't understand the work of the physicality, they say you have 85% of your brain doing nothing. Every single cell in your brain does everything 24 hours a day, controlling your temperature, reproduction of the cell. All these billions of your cell knows when is the time to reproduce it, where it has to reproduce, at what density has to be reduced, and everything else. So 9 years before, he has decided, I'm going to terminate the life. I'm not producing it next time when it comes around. So you can see how precise everything in the life of man is calculated, and man has never understood. When you see, go and look at people with ALS. Look at the people with MS. They tell you, after so many months, this is what's going to happen to you. After so many years, this is the next thing that's going to happen to you. After so many years, this is what's going to happen to you. So we already know. It's not that it's not going to happen. It means the brain has planned it, and this is what usually the plan is. So if we understand this in a space, we understand the work of the plasma, we can do two things. We can give assurities to this chap here, everything will be okay. There is enough energy, you don't need to terminate. Then the life of man will run into thousands of years in space. The reason we shut down after so many years, we become old, is because we don't receive the right amount of energy. And secondly, when we get old, we need to be looked after. We need to be given things, and the humiliation of the soul does not accept it, so instruct the physicality to do. Some people try to defy it because the physicality has the strength to overcome it, but at the end is the submissive part. So in the space technology, we will see, as I always say, a lot of psychosomatic problems. And as we lose most of our physical part in the space, we understand the work of the plasma of the emotion, then we'll find out we can last thousands of years in the space where we are happy with 50, 60, 100 years here, and we spend a fortune to live one more day extra. Where if we let the shackles of the limitation of the physicality go through what I call this sausage of life, that's all it is. The sausage of life. If you want to understand the real working of the body of a man, go to a toy shop and buy one of these cylindrical tubes which keep on coming out. You've seen them, they're about orange color, yellow color, and it's jelly, but it's a long tube, you can pull it. That's exactly the structure of the body of a man. How much you want to pull it? So you'll find out when understanding the plasma and the way we share the knowledge of plasma, you can regenerate what you like. Physical damage now is not important. Then man will understand he's gone through a new dilemma, which is how you're going to handle the emotion and the soul of the man. Physical, we can repair. Emotion depends how good you're at it. But in a new generation of life in man, we have to understand the connection between the emotion and the soul of the man. Because the soul is sacrosanct, will not be tarnished. Emotion compromises. Physicality is literally dismissible. So you understand in a space the whole outlook of man in respect to even existence. When you understand the work of the plasma, changes. You got to understand very simply how deep we want to understand our own problem, or are we ready to handle the problems? Have we been seen enough what I call suffering to become wise, to allow for the man to go to the next steps of maturity in understanding through work of the plasma. The body of a man is nothing but a bunch of dust, which is interaction creates the life of the man, which is the soul of the man. In a space, you work through emotion, not physicality, because once man starts traveling the space, in a physical structure, what you call a spaceship, you find out all the creatures of the universe more or less look the same. Their emotion differs, but they work through the same soul structure. So what it comes to, when we put this, the blueprint, you all fell for the energy. But as I said to my people close to me, I'm bringing them in to show them the true blueprint, the blueprint of life in the universe. Because now you have everything you need. The position is the man, or has the man become wise enough to understand the tangible physical life is absolutely not worth bothering with. Then you understand through plasma, you can have whatever you need, whenever you need, as you need it, the way you need it, and is it worth it to kill, to destroy life for the blueprint of nothingness? No man has managed to create a whole man in one go. Nobody has the blueprint of life. But you all came here to get a blueprint of energy, which can change your lives, but in so many ways, it gives you the blueprint of the universe. This blue box was chosen especially to be blue. Look at the flag of the Keshe Foundation. It's blue. Look at the logo of the Keshe Foundation. SSI is blue. It's the sign of this planet. It's the way when nitrogen mixes in a specific condition in presence of hydrogen and carbon and oxygen creates a blue color. So we are ourselves a plasma, within the plasma and within the bigger plasma. It depends how much of which plasma we like to be. We are a plasma within the plasma of planet Earth, where itself is a plasma in the plasma of solar system, and I can go on to the galaxy, to universe, and to the universe. But the true essence is that all is the same. Doesn't matter what color shade you put on it. It all works on the same principle. When you understand one, then you can understand how it works in the other. You understand the operation of the physical life, then you understand the operation of the emotion. You understand the operation of the soul. You understand the operation of the solar system, the galaxy, and the universe. So what we do in the Spaceship Institute, we teach you the ethos of space. Not to make a spaceship, because any of you has the capability to make a space. If you detach from the physicality, you'll find out it works very, very much easier if you get rid of this part. And you only operate in this part. Any questions? It brings a lot of doomsday to reality that we have to judge ourselves, and we don't expect to be judged anymore because we stand on our own legs for what we are, who we are, and what we do. Any more of 45 questions left?
Just getting lined up here, Mr. Keshe. Let me see. Let me count the ways.
Yes, we have a question from Mr. Arman Golan.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got to go on the microphone. Yes, you have to push it, press it, hold it, it goes green.
Hello?
Yes.
For amputation units.
For amputation unit.
Yeah,
You got to speak louder.
we can increase the information of nanomaterial to increase the information from the brain.
Pardon? I'm going to the invisible board. You hear my voice, but you can't see me on the camera.
So what I'm saying that if you put the nanomaterial and put the current, it will
No, you
help.
cannot increase it. You cook it. You can't cook it. You have to leave things. You got to remember, brain works. What Arman is asking, if we increase the wire, the, what do you call it, current to the nanoplate, would we increase the growth rate of the cell? No. Because brain works on a pre-programmed. You can't ask for it because, yes, you can bring the energy, but the information, if it's going to be a nail, a bone, or a tissue, is not there. Emotions sit there and say, grow. Arman, you'd definitely be more than 7 months. Everything has to be in the rush. A microphone.
Famous world healers like, I don't know, Jesus Christ or In the Memory of Man, who had the power to heal just with hands or with will, and other such
No,
do healers exist?
No. Let me put something correct.
Okay.
Present healers are not healers. Christ was a true healer because he gave what the soul wanted. Healing is the wrong word. Christ, blessed his name and soul, wasn't a healer. He gave what the soul needed. These are the true healers. These are the true prophets of God. The others who call themselves healers, they try to enforce their will to change somebody's position. Christ, bless his name, had one principle. He gave to the dead. It was the dead, the soul of the dead doesn't work. It's very much a different version of chemotherapy. We give them a little, but they don't know what other damages they do in the background. Christ, bless his name, had one principle. He gave to the dead. It was the dead, the soul of the dead, who accepted it to rejuvenate the physicality. He did not rise the physical body. He gave to the soul. The true healers are the prophets of God, and they do not come anywhere near the present healers. So when I see they come and say, I'm healer, I laugh. If I know what I know and you call yourself a healer, God forgive the Creator. Because they just come to give you and they only tell you what they want to give, not you what you want to accept. That's the true healing, and that's what the Christ did.
But do such healers, I mean, if we are all kind of GANs and nanomaterial, the principle of the pen and the principle of a human hand.
You give the energy. You give the energy is the point of receipt which accepts or refuses. It's a different thing. Because you still deal with the physicality. This is what none of the people have ever understood in the work of the Christ, bless his name. He ignored the physicality. He only gave to the soul. And then whatever you wanted to see, you saw because you saw what you wanted to see, that you could believe in the work of what he did. The present healers is just transferring of energy. That's why we teach the science that you understand it. To be a healer, I have seen none. A lot of people claim.
Thank you.
No more questions at the moment. So we can go for a tea break till you find your questions. But understand something. Up to now, the man has been too much tied up with this guy. Now, with this technology and understanding of the plasma, we teach you more about this guy, but in fact, it's this guy who controls the total lot. This is your physicality, and the man is too physical. You start understanding about the emotion, which controls the physicality, because if he decides to go, physicality has no say because it's got no power. Is of the higher order strength in plasma. And then emotion itself is in between the physicality and the soul of the man. And that's where it works. I see you got another pen. Do you want mine as well? She's busy with as many pens as she could get her hands on. Have you found your questions?
Yes, I found the questions. Just there's a list of 700 of them, so I'm trying to sort out which are correct. Such as, my questions keep getting ignored. Is there a better place for me to ask? No.
Pardon?
Someone is saying my questions keep getting ignored. Is there a better place for me to ask? But we had 150
Don't ask the
questions.
question, just wish it will be answered.
Yes, that's right.
Mr. Keshe,
Okay, there we go.
may I ask a question, please?
Oh, this is Sandy.
Yes, hi.
Sandy. This is Mr. House, yeah?
Yes, he's here. We were just talking about this, and we were talking about people that get transplants, and they seem to take on a different personality after the transplant. And then you also hear of people who sort of say their bodies were taken over by other souls. And we also talked about the schizophrenic people that have basically two souls in a body. Could you tie that in a little bit more here? How that how it is a body can be without a soul or multiple souls, or how that goes?
Or what? Stackers? What, you stack souls in?
No,
I
I
almost
think
sounds
she had,
like that.
or how that goes.
Each one you speak has a different condition, and each one you speak has a different reason. When you do a transplant, you carry the emotion of the body which the transplant came from. If you don't understand it, and it's a bit far-fetched for you people who have just come into the foundation work, the knowledge seekers, they know, and if you go on the health section teaching of the foundation, you understand how we understand a creation of a single cell. A single cell is created when the blood, which is the carrier of your emotion. Oh, I better change this, don't I? Okay. Now I'm going to raise it. I'm still there. Yeah, I got my line back. Okay. If you don't understand this, go on the teachings of the Keshe Foundation. You understand more. When a cell is created, it's created this way. The emotion comes with the blood. The physicality comes. Hey, what's wrong with you, boy? The physicality comes with the lymph. The nervous system. The nerves bring the current which equal given flow of energy, what we call in a current form through the nerve, creates between the lymph and the physicality the cell in the body. So every single cell carries both the emotion and the physicality of the body. What's wrong with you, boy? There. So when you transplant this as, let's say, what happened to this guy? This board is funny today. When you carry this and you plant it in somebody else's body, let's see if they want a darker color. You take this one. And you put this green piece in somebody else's. You have already carried this emotion and physicality. So in interaction, the body has to change to accommodate this. So what do you get? Most probably, depending what organ this was transplanted, will affect the physicality in a different way. If you transplant the whole heart, and if you were with the Keshe Foundation teaching, you understand very simply this, that the physical body of the man, where are you, boy? The physical body of a man It's moving. Now I know what happened. I'm not supposed to touch the board. That's what it is. When I touch the board, I move the beam. So not touching anymore. Now we'll end. My jacket. I told you, want me next time to come with a birthday suit? This cannot happen. Impossible. I have to wear something. You have the brain of the man, which contains the emotional part of man, and then it has the physical part of the man. Physical part is made of two sections: emotional part and the physical part. Emotional part, the lung and the heart, are responsible for this part. The physical part are responsible for this part. So when you transplant the heart, which is part of your emotion, main part of emotion, because the heart works to feed your emotion, then you carry the emotion of the man, you took the heart and you transplanted it. It's impossible if you don't carry his emotion to the new body. There's impossibilities. When you understand this, then with the new understanding of the plasma, what we have explained in the health section, you understand, of course, it has to. Now you have two people sharing the same body. It's just you placed a little heart, but you replaced the main organ, which was the feeder of the emotion in the last body. It carries every characteristic of it. You got to remember one thing. When the heart beats, the way it beats, the way it creates this pulsation, it has to do how the emotion wants it to do. It doesn't do it on its own. When you get excited, it's the heart which will start beating hard to indicate the manifestation of the emotion. So when you take a heart of a man and you give it to another man, you carry the mechanism of his emotion. So the two emotions have to accommodate each other. One thing a lot of people can tell you who've been through this kind of transplants, they even can dream about, if it's a husband, about the wife of the other woman he never met. The feelings, the hate, the love, the children of them. Because this is the extent of the emotion which carried through the heart. If you transplant, God knows, a leg, it's a different thing. Because it's to do with the physicality. So the existence of the two souls, as you want to call it, due to transplant, people characters change, depends what organ, if it's dependent on the emotional side or physical part, or how much of an organ is working for the physical part, and does the emotional part have any say in it?
Does it decrease as the cells replace?
No. It's an imprint. When you change a heart, you don't change the DNA, you change the RNA, you change the recording, not the disk. So you'll find out the emotion of the person, if he's going to have a child, will be transferred through to the next generation.
Is this the same with the blood transfusions that people have?
No. No way. You got to remember, let me explain why. Don't accept it just because I say so. You know me, I have to explain it to you that you understand. This is not monkey see, monkey does. You got to understand why it doesn't work. We go back to the teaching of this morning. Remember this? And you remember this? Now, the red hole is your blood vessel. The layers which made your body, the ganses, which make the blood vessel, they carry the emotion. They dictate because they are preconditioned. When you bring the new blood as a blood transfusion, now the dictation is done by the environment. Blood operates in a certain way for a certain thing, but it changes according to what the physicality and the emotion of the blood vessel decides. Have you ever thought yourself why you get blood clot, why you get cholesterol in your blood, why you get thickening of the blood? Look into the emotion. Why does the blood get thickened? Because the physicality does not want to carry the emotion part. This solidifies, life is finished. Then you can have peace. When you have cholesterol, when you have high blood pressure, when you have sugar, look into the direction of the physicality, the emotion of the plasma inside the body. You don't need medication. We can spend a lot of money for sugar, for diabetic, but if you don't understand the reason behind it, why do you become diabetic? What is sugar? Where is it used mainly, the sugar? In the brain. It's a CH bond. What is sugar? It's a carbon-hydrogen bond. Look at the structure of your brain. Is what's happening? Why am I going curvature there? Oh, it's to do with my pen. If you look at your brain is where most of the energy of the carbon and the hydrogen is used. It's the instantaneous energy supply connection. Now you got a sugar. Look at the emotional state. You got cholesterol. Cholesterol is fat. It's amino acid. It's to do with physicality. Arlen can tell you the rest. So, understand the relationship in what is connecting to what and the reason for it. And how everything has to be in the order it is, not what you like it to be. She's forever from pen to pen. It might not work. I have my own pen. Any other question?
Yes, we have a question on the live stream. Just a second. Mr. Keshe, could you go over the gravitational magnetic dynamics of plasma again? This time, please be very specific about which forces are called gravitational as opposed to magnetic.
What is gravitational in time becomes magnetical, and what is magnetical in times become gravitational. Depends on which side of the fence you're sitting. Let me explain to you. I've done this many times. I think, Arman, it'll be your test. Would you like to pass the test? No? Marco, you're a very good teacher. Come on. It's good for you. Explain to them. To me, it's me. To you, you're a master. don't worry about your bald head. Nobody sees. They're sitting up at night. I'm not sure. Come on, explain, because they have to listen to different voices, not mine. I don't have this anywhere to put this. My God, you're worse than a woman. Go.
So, yeah, okay, if we have like, oops. If we have two entities, let's say, which one? This one? Yes. If we have two entities, let's say two plasmas, and this plasma has entry and exit of the fields. Let's say one is entry, oops, and exit. And these fields have to interact between each other. So in a way, some of these fields come on the other side, and some of these fields are coming onto the other side, but they're also close to themselves. And some of them connect to the other fields in the universe. So it depends in which point of this plasma we look at the fields. In this point, we have repulsion. It's what we call magnetical, and they go outwards. But this is like middle point, and in this point somehow they change to the gravitational. So they change to attraction force, and the same is on this side. Here is magnetical, and here they change to gravitational. Maybe this helps with the. Is the answer clear enough, or we have to explain more? Depends always from which point of observation you are looking at. Because here just continuity of the fields. There is no start and there is no beginning, and it's like entry and exit, and this interaction of the fields create attraction force, which we call magnetical, and interactions that create repulsion force, we call it so attraction is gravitational, repulsion is magnetical. And if we look at the fields, if we look at the fields, we have entry, and exit. And this one is also entry. And exit. But there are a lot of these fields around also. So these fields interact between each other, and depends if there are different type of interactions. One is, entry 1, exit 1. Entry 2, exit 2. Oh my God. It's very sensitive. I have to go back to the old one. So you have different interactions then. If we have entry 1 interacts with, let's say, entry. Entry 2. Because both are entries, so they try to position themselves, and so we have repulsion, which is magnetical. If we have interaction of exit, one and exit
Marco,
exit.
don't you have exit 1, entry 2? You have it wrong.
Exit 1, exit 2. This is
Exit 1,
again magnetical. But it's a little bit different magnetical than entry 1 and entry 2, but they're both magnetical. And then we have like entry 1 and exit let's say exit 2. Oh. This one is gravitational because there are two different polarities. And if we have like exit exit oh, where is my picture? Exit 1 exit 1, entry. Entry 2. It's again different polarity, and we have gravitational. Oh my God. It's again gravitational. So if we go back to the picture, we have all these different possibilities here between different entries and exits. So I suggest you that you write down on the paper these fields, and then you find different combinations of entries and exits. And when you have two different polarities, like two and one entry, one exit, then you have a gravitational field force. And when you have the same polarity, like two entries or two exits, then you have repulsion field force, what we call magnetical. So that's how I understood these things. And you have many, many of this interaction with the plasma, because plasma is just a soup of fields. There are not just two of them, there are infinity of the fields which interact with each other. Okay. Yes. Now we ask Professor for an explanation.
We're all learners.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It gives me a chance to rest, but at least it brings different insights. It's a very nice way to put it. Thanks, Marco. What is magnetical to me is gravitational to you, and what is gravitational to you is magnetical to me. No, I'm not just looking at you, I'm talking generally. It means what I don't need, I give, and what I need, I take. You put new one, new page, back and forth. When you interact, you always interact in two ways. There are times when you interact this way too. If you look at it, it's the same plasma. Go back on one of the teachings last term where I explained about creation of the plasma, how plasma is created, essence of the creation of the plasma. This, when you see this, there's a hidden baby here, where in fact the fields go like this, and this field goes like this. But it looks to you is this, and this. What I don't need, I release. If there is a taker, it becomes gravitational to that. If you release what you need, it might be needed by me that it guarantees the survival and a balance on both sides. If you put what we call an electron and a positron next to each other, what would be the condition? Would the interaction be like this? Or is the interaction like this? I'm too far in the corner. Take it out. Which way is the interaction with the positron? The green or the blue? Green or the blue? What? Green. Green. The positron still has the same polarity. It spins different way. It's like when I tell you, is a kilo of mercury more heavier than a kilo of feather? Which one is more heavier? Mercury or the feather? So 1 kilo is 1 kilo. But what is the difference in the interaction of a positron and an electron? When we call positron, means the plasma is rotating clockwise in respect to the position of the observer, not necessarily in reality. Because a positron could be doing anti-clock if you're standing there, but here is. So in fact, it's still working anti-clock, but it's you who are in a different position.
Mr. Keshe, the positron is considered a positively charged electron.
No,
negative charge. The
doesn't
positron.
exist such a thing.
Well, in science, that's what they say.
Yeah, your science.
Whereas they say an electron has a spin one way and it has a spin the other way, and the positron has a spin one way and a spin the other way too. That's what science says. But you have a different definition. Right. So
not in my book.
How would you define the what science considers the positively charged positron, which is a antimatter?
Charges are all the same. It respects is the point of the observer.
Matter or antimatter doesn't matter because positron is an antimatter particle in science.
It's just the way it behaves in respect to a position from the point of observer, and not because internally is the same. Because if I stand here, it could be a positron to me. If I stand here, this could be a positron to me. You got to understand, in the world of physics, there's a lot of big assumptions have been made because they cannot measure it anyway. The cameramans change one after another. It's irrelevant because it's from the point of the observer, what we see and what the environment decides and pushes onto. I can show you an electron. I can create it on the table that you can see it, where the magnet which is moving this way, if I change some magnets around the environment, the same magnet moves this way. The charges are still the same. I've done this in a few demonstrations because when you use these ring magnets, it's very easy to show. When you put a set of 6 or 8 magnets on the table, and you can create the same charge to move forward, backwards, anti-clockwise, clockwise, and sometimes you can even get them to stand on its side. So it's the playing with the words, but in fact it's just point of observer. And if you create a balance or disbalance in the gravitational magnetic field, you'll find out that the same plasma, while you're standing, it changes direction. We've seen this many times in the operation of the reactors, especially gas reactors. The plasma just stops and moves the other way around with the same mass. The charges don't change. It's like the sun. The sun's polarity changes north to south, south to north every 11.5 years. Next question.
I'm wondering how on the left side of your drawing there, if one of those two entities changed their polarity, then what would it look like then? Would it still have the crossed fields that interact? Like, in other words, one would flip upside down, you might say.
Einstein called it the funny thing because he couldn't understand it. But in fact, what it does, when this rotates, when he rotated this, he said the electron or atom on the other side rotates too, because you change the polarity. This, if you look at it, doesn't happen to us. This is only applicable in a matter state condition. In a plasma state condition, the whole plasma internally switches over to the different strength, but the polarity changes comes in. When the sun changes its polarity, us on Earth don't turn upside down. Polarity of the Earth doesn't change. No.
I can't hear the question. Can you repeat the question?
He's trying to explain if the one electron turns the other way, positive or negative, clockwise or anti-clockwise. The charges inside doesn't change. The charge of a plasma stays the same. Doesn't change. So energy is the same. The positive positron, or what you call, is just the spin on the field. And you can change the speed on the field by changing the environmental fields. So it shows positron doesn't actually exist the way it's assumed, even on the energy level, because it's the same energy. What if you change the environment of the fields around one object, one electron, you find out it'll start suddenly rotating the same way without change of polarity. Next question. These things a lot to do with positron rotation of the planetary system. Now that we have reactors, it can be easily shown to have been a fallacy. All these things, it's been nothing but just assumptions which has been made and then papers written to confirm the fallacy. The same thing. Now we've seen so many papers, I've said this many times, why Venus goes clockwise. And read all the books that are written about Venus and movement of the Venus clockwise as a positron, or what do you call it, charged in the direction of motion of clockwise. We have from whatever been hit, the most accepted fallacy is that it's been hit by a moon or a meteorite which changed its rotation. It's the biggest nonsense you ever come across. The only thing is we have shown it, and it can be shown if we move to magnetic plasmatic condition in the environment of the bigger magnetic plasma condition, if the gravitational magnetic field of the environment is much more stronger in a certain distance, then the lesser of the two will start changing direction of rotation. We've seen it in our reactors. Or if we increase or decrease the gravitational magnetic field of the lesser weight, that it enforces the bigger of the object near to it, it will change polarity too. So this shows Venus was never hit by a meteorite. All it is because it's coming forward. Let me explain to you. We can show this. I have a recording of this to show this. When this is the sun, this is the sun, this is the sun, and this is the Venus. Maybe, let's say, 1 million years ago, 100 million years ago, whatever. As Venus has moved from the boundaries of the solar system and is getting closer, it has reached the point that gravitational magnetic field of the sun, in respect to gravitational magnetic field of the Earth, the Venus is so powerful that Venus has gone from anti-clock motion to what you call clockwise motion. And what it does, it comes to a halt and it reverses. I have videos of this. It's not a theoretical. Because it's the gravitational magnetic field of the sun which forces through its strength and the positioning the change of the rotation. It's more powerful. All it does is switches it over.
Mr. Keshe.
Yes. I showed this for the first time 7 years ago in the lab in Tehran. It was very easy to show because we have windows on the reactors. I think these reactors are still with us downstairs. If we create a special, excuse me, one more talk, then I have to talk, please. When we increase the mass or the plasma weight in one compared to the other, then this dictates, its fields dictates the environment. So this is the dictator of the condition.
So Mr. Keshe, if the sun was doing its rotating its poles thing or changing its
it doesn't matter.
Fields, that doesn't matter. The magnetic gravitation fields that matter. Is that the thing?
No. It's just the gravitation. Total mass which changes. The total mass, which is magnetical less. Sorry. Which is gravitational minus magnetical is the mass. This is what the mass is. Then you find out when gravitational field for the mass of the plasma, which dictates the condition, doesn't matter which way. The polarity change is only for accommodating the flow of the plasma. The polarity change. Thank you very much. You can find it. It's okay. The polarity change is just to facilitate the what I call the sharing of the plasma of the entity. The mass inside doesn't change. Something which is we've spoken about is the rise of the second sun. You'll find out in a very simple way, very soon most of you will find out that the change of the polarity of the solar system is dependent on its sister and not on anything else. When one changes, when one leaks enough fields that it has to convey the rotation, one changes and the field changes in respect to this. That's why we don't see changes anywhere else. The rest is in the plasma condition field flow. Our polarity change comes from the compression of the fields because Earth is a composite matter plasma state. But plasma states, very much like the sun's, the polarity change is totally on different principle. You find out when electrons come too close to a very high density nucleuses, continuously they change from positron to electron. Clockwise, anti-clockwise, positron, electron, because the compression of the fields inside decides what the little one, which is literally nothing, compares to. You have to understand, when you speak about atomic structure of higher order, especially big masses, like let's say in gold or plutonium or whatever, this mass is huge in the center, the number of protons and neutrons. A little tiny electron has no say, is compressed in the position by so many other electrons and the environment around it that it continuously changes to clockwise, anti-clockwise, and so forth. Depends where it's moving. especially in the S1, S2 boundaries with the higher elements, electrons is just a guesswork. Nobody has ever managed to say, this is what it is. A lot of assumptions have been made on pure what they think they have observed. You look why some of the moons rotate clockwise, why some moons clock anti-clockwise, why, as I said so many times, Venus is one way and Uranus is dangling on its axis. It's just the field forces which dictate how much fields can go and come, and according to the field forces, you rotate. Don't forget, the total mass of the matter state in the plasma of the solar system is just about 0.05, if that. So a planet like Earth weighs nothing. It's literally irrelevant. The field forces of the totality. A lot of assumptions in theoretical physics has been good for the papers to create PhDs. In reality, it doesn't work. Because when you put it in a real cosmological, there is no difference. This is what has been one of the biggest problems. Nuclear physicists should work with cosmologists, and they make the best pair. Then you will not get any nonsense out of each one of them. Because what a nuclear physicist cannot see, a cosmologist can show in a star formation. And what the cosmologist cannot see in the real interaction, nuclear physicists can show them in the interaction in the nuclear structure. And somehow these two never talk to each other. There are very few, 2, 3, if that, real cosmonuclear physicists who, even them, some of them have lost the track. There's 2 of them, very good ones, work with NASA. There are 3 or 4 people in the Russian Space Agency. The rest are all time wasters. Because when you understand the two, you can see how it works. You can guide each other. What I can't see, you can see. What I cannot understand, you can show me. Next question.
Okay, I've got a question here for you. Isn't Mr. Keshe afraid of overpopulation?
Of where? Venus or Mars?
I think they mean the smaller picture, not the bigger picture.
The smaller picture, this planet, no. I have written a paper, I've explained this before. My biggest problem is on the population of true scientists. People like what we see in Keshe Foundation as knowledge seekers and the people around the foundation who start understanding the plasma. Because these people understand the work of the universe very easily now. They understand the work of the plasma in the cosmology. And when they go to explore, to prove what they understood was correct in the cosmos in the coming months, then we will lack huge number of true scientists. And this the biggest problem is I've written a paper for United Nations. We have to control the number of scientists who leave this planet. That we have a continuous flow of educated people who understand the work. Otherwise, again, this time, the knowledge will be lost because the ones who attained it will leave this planet and the ones who haven't will stay become like what it is, a village of Earth. So our problem is not overpopulation. Our problem is the population of the people who start now understanding how easy plasma technology is, how easily the universe works, and they take into space. then we don't have enough people to support what is left behind. The situation is not so hunky-dory. There'll be influential forces which will dictate how many people will leave this planet. Opposite to what is common now, they say they are trying to kill a lot of us. Their problem is to save as many as you can, because so many people leave that we don't have enough to sustain the present population. We have achieved, the human race has achieved such a population because we have developed a structure of the health. We have a structured food. Now we don't need it. But the problem is, you cannot teach this new technology to all people. Who's going to look after them? 30–40% of the world population is over 60–65 now. They are not ready for new technologies. Who's going to look after the old the way what's happening in Japan? The youngs will go to space, no problem. People in their 30s, 40s are the prime of their life. They will take into space. We'll be left with no one to look after the old and uneducated. And don't forget, 50+% of the world population are uneducated. Reading does not bring intelligence. You're not intelligent just because you can read. Intelligence comes in understanding the society. And a lot of people have not got grasp of what's happening around them in their society. People in Africa, in the jungles of Africa, they're happy the way they live a fantastic life. They have no interest to know what's happening to the Mars or the Moon. The population will be in Northern Hemisphere in a huge numbers. And as I said, 80% of the people who take into space never come back. Pardon? I don't know, you're a woman. This is the only question we'll ask. Earth is the mother, is where we came from. But the reality is, the universe is the world of the men. We go, women follow. So that's no problem. You are attached to this earth. Us men, no. And by habit, wherever man has gone, woman has followed. So we have to find a solution in that direction.
My question really was about the hemoglobin that you made this morning and showed.
Yeah.
Can that be used for blood transfusion?
Yes, it's a pure form. If we can create it uncontaminated and untainted, yes.
And our question, we were talking about it at lunch, DNA and genetics.
It doesn't exist. It's a pure form of blood.
Okay.
It takes your information. This
like
is how it is.
plasma. Okay.
When I was very young, in my early time of nuclear engineering, I came across a woman. She was one of the first scientists of NASA involved in Apollo landing, in Apollo program. Her name was Mary Hardy, American, moved to England, and it was a pleasure to get to know her at that young age, to understand the structure of space technology. And in a few occasions which I could ask him as a young man, because she finished with NASA program, she moved to England, she explained to me a lot of things, animalities, and the way that nobody has understood. We're just brushing things over in a space technology. Because if we go deep into it, a lot of people understand there's a lot of assumptions. We are hoping. What she used to call flight on the seat of your pants, more or less. On the seat of your pants. It means you don't know if you have any safety or not if you come back. I got to know her very well in summer of 76, 77, and understood a lot through her because she was first-hand person out of NASA. She's dead now. She died 2 years ago. And very hard to explain to me a lot of things that never accept in so many ways whatever they tell you about the space technology. We don't tell you a lot of things because it doesn't look right. So, she used to live in Oxford. I used to go and see her quite a lot. And one of the things I realized very early on in the space was that space is a beautiful place if you play its rule, not you break the rules. If you play the rules of plasma, it accommodates you everything. If you try to overcome it, then you have to fight it. Doesn't matter how you play with it. This is why I try to convey an information that you accommodate your spacecraft in the environment of the space you want it to be. You don't force yourself in the position. If you understand how an atom, in an atom, electron accommodates itself, then you do the same thing to accommodate yourself in the plasma of the space. If you force yourself, the fields are so much stronger than your little thing you have that they push you in where they want you to be. They want you to be. So in the rocket space technology, we push ourselves to push, the same as injection. If you look at the space technology and the medicine, there's no difference. We inject ourselves, we rocket ourselves into space. You see, with a single piece, with the magnetic gravitational, you accommodate the pain and the pain is gone. You don't do anything. I take what you don't want and the computer is dead. And then you take from me what I don't want. And if we get that ethos of understanding of work, then it becomes very, very easy how you work and how you can accommodate yourself anywhere in a space. It seems like every few minutes you have to come and touch it to wake it up. Wake up. So these are the things we have to understand. We have to change the way we work and operate in the space, in medicine, in every aspect. We have to ask and hopefully will be accommodated if our intentions are correct. Because from now on, we can't just get up and push ourselves into a space and hope we go up. We like to be here. We are at the moment here. But if you look, the field forces in the universe, the planetary, the other galaxies is so much. And ours, in any kind of class, is not even a hair dot on it. For the first time in the systems, we have the capability to change the gravitational and magnetic field as we like. So we can accommodate ourselves according to the strength of our environment. Up to now, we didn't. We just pushed ourselves in. We wanted to go that way. Ooh, a line came up the other way. It didn't want me to be there. No, when it shines on my ring, it goes that way. And I can't get the ring off. The lady will kill me. You have to keep it on. So, you got to understand, with the new space technology, this is where I want to be. And I have the intelligence now to create the gravitational magnetic field of this place. Because this and this have accepted this, they're going to accept me too. Because I'm there in the same position. This is the new approach into space. You can't shoot yourself in. There is no rocket propulsion. I showed it to you last time. I can show you 1,000,000 times. You put the magnets on the table. If you go by the size of the magnets, if I get it the right way, you see, if they're bigger, I can't move them. Where here I do, I dictate the position. Where you see what happens. The bigger will not allow me to enter. Very easy. But a craft carrying even hundreds of thousands of people is so small to compare to the mass of the galaxy, even to the mass of the sun, you cannot change. Now, with the development understanding of the plasma, we can fiddle, we can change the strength of gravitational magnetical and find ourselves somewhere in there where both can accept us. And this is a huge breakthrough because now we understand how we can control in the new systems, in the magnet systems. Now we know we can control gravitational magnetic field. We can make a magnet for anything, for plastic, for wood. If I can assess the gravitational magnetic field of, let's say, Saddam Hussein, which was alive, I didn't need to invade Iraq. I just make his gravitational magnetic field and he's here. Why do you need to destroy the whole nation? You understand? Now our knowledge is that mature. It's another step in the cycle of the knowledge of the man. We came from a donkey, we understood engines, we made jet engines, we came to space. Now this is the next step. We've gone into deeper side of the knowledge, which is plasma. So now I can make the plasma of anything. The way I made the plasma of a carbon. When we made these units the first time, nobody understood. They all said, oh, this rubbish. One of my own students says, this is, what was it? Nickel oxide. This is all fraud. Came up with new names for GANs. And then, who proved it to be correct? George Washington University, past 3 months, even proved it to be correct. It's a CO2. And now they say they can make the carbon, the fiber of it. Because you can solidify it. So what happens? We haven't done anything strange. Carbon, nickel. The gap in between is just about carbon. The copper in a magnetic field gravitational and the zinc plate create just about 6 atomic mass of a carbon in gravitational magnetic field. So now I have made the gravitational magnetic field of the carbon somewhere here. It pulls, if there is any field of carbon around here into the water, immediately interacts with the oxygen in the water, you get CO2 at the bottom. So now it's the same thing as I explained, is like a leaf, a plant. The plants, green plants, between the 2 leaves do the same thing. Now we replicated the plant job. So that's why you get the CO2. Now we can understand that we can create one plate gravitational magnetic field of copper in a loose state as a nanomaterial, which all you make for your system. Change this into something else. The next material, if the gap is good enough, it'll be gold. Because now you create gravitational magnetic field of gold. So it becomes a magnet for gold. You find a good enough difference, balance between the 2 in the center in atomic mass, you'll get that material, whatever is in the environment. So now we have learned through plasma to create gravitational magnetic field of the mass of entity. And then creating the environment, which is the salt water, it allows us to capture it as a plasma of it. So you produce as much gold as you want. The only thing is assess the atomic mass of gravitational magnetic field between the 2 plates. Add them together, become gold, take them away, carbon. There is no system inside the plant. All the leaves capture the CO2 day and night. Nobody has ever seen a system. The nanomaterial layers, which between them of conflict. This is the change, is the exchange of the knowledge for peace. And that's what we put as a peace program. We give you a knowledge to have whatever you like. You give us peace, which allows the funding to be used for more development to take man into space is much easier way. This guy behind you is planning something nasty for me. He's not telling you, but he wants to take me to Mars.
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
He's building a machine to go to Mars.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think you just went to Mars temporarily there because the entire Zoom disappeared for the last minute or so. We're just getting
What
back.
happened? How far did you see? You better take the recording from the back.
You were just talking.
Hijack the computer.
You were talking about Mars, and then everything disappeared. Yeah,
we didn't
missed
talk
the last
about
minute.
That was the last instantaneous, so you didn't miss anything. Giovanni is going to take us to Mars, I said. And he said, yes, I am. Pardon?
Yeah, yeah, it's just lost the live stream here temporarily. We're okay.
Okay, so it means the Martians didn't want you there. Next question. Is your YouTube still running?
Yep, and live stream kept running too. It's just the Zoom shut down temporarily. So, what about? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. My question is about studying, getting wiser, and the relation with the reactor in our body. So I believe that getting wiser can help in controlling or recognize emotions. So can I say that in this way we change the structure of our body in a way that we increase the potential difference between our top reactor and our base reactor? And if it is correct, does it mean that in this way we get a stronger and closer connection to our soul?
The more you walk away from physicality to become detached from it, the closer you get to your emotion and understanding of the work of the emotion, which connects itself to the soul. The more you get attached to your physical body to understand its work the way it is, the further you go away from what you're trying to achieve the other way. So detachment it's not detachment, is when you understand, I've said this many times, if you work with a boss, would you like to work with millions of soldiers in a physical body? You understand? This is the difference. Why spend so much energy on what is just literally, it can disappear because it's made of other entities, and it's, on the other hand, you have the emotion which is connected unconditional to its master, which is the soul of the man. In the space technology, this guy, he goes away very quickly, you see? This does not exist. If you want it, you can have it. Because when you go to space, if you find the right connection between these two, you appear, manifest yourself in any shape you want to be in space at the point of manifestation. You will even see the changes as you watch. Your wish will create the condition. I always say, one of my dearest friends, somebody I have a lot of respect for in Belgium, his daughter, desire was to become a harpist, to play harp. And in one generation, she did. The whole structure of the face changes, the body has changed to be able to accommodate how to play harp. So if you can do in one generation with one woman in less than 10 years, 12 years, so you see we have all the capability to do it. I think now she's a physicist. I tried to teach her how even to feel the change in the motion of the person when you can command the brain to change the position of the physicality through your own line of thought. When we had a coma patient, she came to see her, and I gave her the opportunity. I don't usually let people touch anything. I gave because she's so determined in change that allowed her to, by playing through the jaw, to be able to command the movement of arm and the leg. You see her pictures, we have video there. So man has that kind of power to do by wish. So if a girl at the age of 6, 7 years old can change the whole structure to be able to reach a harp, what can you imagine you can do if you go into a new destiny and you want to change to be one of them? Instantaneous. Because you control the emotion, and the emotion controls the physicality in how it wants it to appear in front of. Any question out of the 45 left?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a few there, but we have a viewer that's put his hand up a number of times here, Phoenician. I'll promote him to panelists and see what he has to say for a question here. Go ahead, Phoenician.
How you doing, Mr. Keshe? This is Kel from America.
Yes.
My question that I have for you was concerning GANs and the different variations of GANs. My studies have turned up the nanowise in conjunction with essential oils, but particular essential oils. I'm not really sure that by putting them over the entire wire is as effective as using it like more like the phosphorus or just at the tip.
What do you want to know?
Yeah, I wanted to know if, go ahead, sir.
You transfer the energy, but I explained this. One of our friends, Alex, is good at this, what you're asking me. If he was online, he's in Nigeria, he will tell you. You've seen how Brennan make his systems. Alex is totally the opposite way. Alex is a very simple but complicated, understand the essence. So what he does, when he makes his nano pins in his structure, he does very tricky thing. And I watched him doing it here, he was in the center. He just dips the tip into what he wants to transfer as energy of. So if you want to use the essential oil and transfer that, is in a way you put a filter on the top. Because don't forget, in becoming in touch with the nanomaterial in such a thin layer, this material itself now behaves as a GaNs or a magnetic conductor filter. So whatever you do, you transfer its energy across the same way. He's very good at it. I've seen him. He's made a few pens here in the lab in the building, and we got it. But he does these things quite a bit. So essential oils are more or less the same thing. You put a filter that's the strength that you want to carry through or block. Depends how you want to look at it, how you want to place it.
Some people have used such things in caustic too, have they not? Is that another way to approach it?
Yes, yes, they do. It's beautiful the way the technology is developing by thousands of people around the world. There is no limitation. It's a new opening in the understanding of the creation, and everybody uses their own intuitivity, as long as you don't use it the wrong way. And if you use it the wrong way, you'll be punished by it. I've told you this so many times. You watch. People who use this technology the wrong way will pay for it very heavy, because it's connected both in gravitational and magnetical. So if the intention is to take, you have to remember one thing. There is another winding to it. It gives. While they're not watching, taking is taken from them without them knowing. because it's a beautiful system. It's the way the universe works. It's like watching a pickpocketer picking a pocket while his own pocket is getting picked, if you understand it. While they're busy in planning and they develop technologies to put people on drug, on all sorts of things, and they're stealing it. The other thing is the system is a balanced system. They are paying for it somewhere else. By the time they look, they're exactly where they were from the beginning. No better, no worse, but in a way the others who gave, received more, they have elevated.
That brings us to the next question quite nicely, which
Pickpocketing, I don't know.
Well, this is an odd question, but it just seems appropriate somehow. The question is, if Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, how would a plasmatist approach putting Humpty back together again?
Very easy. Who was there and who would be there at the time of the fall? Ah, there we are. She's an English woman. Even speaks Italian. All the king's men, horses. There we are. All the kings will get together to put the Humpty together. They couldn't. They did.
They couldn't. They didn't. So it's kind of the thing of the broken egg. How do you put the broken yolk back together in a way? I think you addressed this at one point somehow.
One time I explained it. Does the chicken come first or the egg? Will the chicken come first or the egg? Yes, he says plasma. Our guru says plasma.
Well, you have to have
when you fall, I'll tell you something. I know you're talking about the Humpty Dumpty. If you fall and you break to pieces, if your wish and your will is to exist, to do something positive, Humpty Dumpty goes back together again. If the wish and the will and the soul is not there to do anything, you can never put Humpty Dumpty back together again at all. It's the wish of the Humpty, not the ones who are around it. Now, who is the Humpty? Is your wish strong enough to serve humanity? That doesn't matter what happened, you take the steps. Or is more important for you just to see the peanuts and what I call crumbs of the life and just survive the passage till everybody collects all the pieces of Humpty Dumpty? Which one would you like to be, Mr. Humpty Dumpty put together or no? Next question. Or have we finished for today? Is it 5 o'clock? Yes? We call it the day for today. We come back tomorrow. Tomorrow morning is another step in the development of the blueprint. We'll see how far any of you have come to. Then we go to the next step. If there is no quoted GANs course around, nobody is strong enough to show their success, we wait till Thursday. And then if there is no more to show, we wait till Friday. And then there is no blueprint. So you lot better start showing it. Otherwise, if it's not there to be shown, there's no use having the proof of the pudding and eating it, because none of you ever baked. So all the systems you make, you put on, all the systems you develop, all the springs, bring it out tomorrow. I know there is hundreds of it around. A lot of you have made it. You left them, you show them on your Facebook, and I can just pick your names up. The problem with you lot is you're too active on the Facebook, on the internet. And we look. We know which one of you have made so many things and can show everything. thank you very much for today. We'll see you tomorrow morning. And thank you very much for hopefully it'll be a good day tomorrow. Don't forget your homeworks. Make plenty of powder dried.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. And so ends our Tuesday, October 27th afternoon session at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. And once again, thank you everybody for attending.